video. Today we are reacting. I spent $100 at a luxury food court by Bite Buddy. Let's get the video started. Let's go.
Behind me is Vancouver's newest luxury mall, and inside it sits what might be the city's most expensive food court. This mall's been open for about a week now, and already people are talking about the prices. About the only thing I can afford is a hamburger. Those food court prices are insane. Who's paying $42 for a foie gras rice bowl? Well, today, that actually might be me. If the foie gras rice bowl is the most expensive thing here. You see, today I'm heading inside Vancouver's brand new Time Out Market to find three things: the cheapest meal, the most popular item, and the most expensive meal. All to answer one very important question: is any of this worth the hype? Before we can determine what we're actually getting, first, we need to see what we're working with. Time Out Market is a food hall concept that brings together a bunch of different local restaurants under one roof. Think of it as a food court, except with restaurant pricing. And with over a dozen vendors serving everything from burgers to sushi to foie gras rice bowls, finding our category winners wasn't going to be easy. Okay, so first, we're going to be on the hunt for the cheapest meal. Now, technically, there were a lot of cheap snacks and pastries, but we're on the lookout for an actual meal, so those aren't going to count. And with most meals pushing well past the $20 mark, I wanted to find something that an average person might actually order on a regular visit. After walking through the entire market, there was one clear winner. Heritage had a BBQ rice plate for $17.85, which was one of the cheaper options that I found. But when it comes down to the actual cheapest meal, there really is only one undisputed winner: Feeney's Burger. At $13.99, it is the cheapest meal that I could find in this entire market. So we've got here the cheapest meal at Time Out Market. Let's see what $13.99 gets you. Honestly, considering where we are, $13.99 is actually a lot cheaper than I expected. I mean, there are some fast food combos that are going for more than that price. At just $13.99, this wasn't only the cheapest meal I could find at Time Out Market. It was also one of the few meals that felt remotely like traditional food court pricing. For $13.99, the fact that they're advertising a Wagyu patty is actually pretty impressive. Usually, a Wagyu patty would warrant another $10 on top. Now, whether or not I'd actually be able to taste the Wagyu was another question entirely. Alright, time to give it a try. The overall flavors, pretty good. I honestly expected the cheapest meal to taste a little like a compromise. Instead, it tasted like a legitimately solid burger. The patty is really juicy and flavorful, and the sauce has a nice flavor to it too. I couldn't exactly tell whether or not the beef was Wagyu, but I'll be honest, I don't really even know what Wagyu is supposed to taste like. What I can tell you is that the beef was juicy, and all the components of the burger just worked really well together. I do have a single complaint though, and I think the bun isn't really toasted enough. Let me take a look. Let me take a look at the inside. So opening this up, I can see that the bun is toasted. It's just a bit soft for my liking. To be fair though, this is really mostly personal preference. Some people like softer burger buns. I just wanted a little more crunch and texture. If you just handed me this burger and didn't tell me that we were at like a luxury food court, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell, which is kind of a compliment and a criticism at the same time. On one hand, it doesn't feel particularly luxurious, but on the other hand, it's also one of the few meals here that doesn't come with a luxury price tag. Overall though, I do like the burger, and for $13.99, considering where we are, this is a pretty good deal. And that's exactly what I was looking for. A meal that proves you don't need to spend $40 or $50 just to eat here.
Sorry about this, it's the ad.
When your website matters, fighting attacks is good. But while the burger showed us the budget-friendly side of Time Out Market, there was one thing I couldn't stop noticing as I walked around. Some vendors had no line at all, others had people practically spilling into the walkways. So next, I wanted to find out what everybody else was ordering. So for the second category, I wanted to find the busiest vendor at this entire food court. And by far, the longest line here today is for Mellow, and it's not even close. Mellow is a Vancouver-based donut shop known for its oversized brioche donuts. And while a few vendors had healthy lineups, Mellow was in a completely different league. The line was roughly 30 people deep and wrapped around the entire seating area. So naturally, I had to see what all the hype was about. Hi, can I just get one strawberry and cream? That's all, yeah, thank you. Mello had the most amount of people by far inside the entire food court. So, of course, we have to give their donut a try. I ended up getting their strawberry and cream brioche donut. I was originally considering the match flavor, but by the time I got to the front of the line, they had already sold out. So the donut I'm noticing is very spongy and fluffy, which is a good sign, and there's a lot of cream on the inside. Let's go for a bite. The cream on the inside is perfectly fluffy, paired with a bit of sourness from the strawberry. Honestly, I would say this is the perfect donut. And honestly, after waiting that long in line, I was relieved, because this thing somehow managed to live up to the hype. The best way I'm able to describe the donut is that it was rich without feeling heavy, creamy on the inside, and not overly sweet. The donut is fluffy on the inside, and still slightly crispy on the outside. More importantly, I completely understood why people were willing to wait for it. Because unlike some viral foods that get attention purely because of social media, this actually tasted as good as it looked. Genuinely, this is so good. The cream is perfectly fluffy. I was just standing there enjoying my donut, but then this happened. So this guy's Kirkland jogger. Hey. Was he judging my Costco Kirkland wear? In hindsight, maybe standing in front of Dior while wearing Costco joggers wasn't exactly my smartest decision. But honestly, I had bigger things to worry about. Because there was one category left, and this was the one I'd been thinking about and also slightly dreading since the moment I walked into the market. Because you see, I'm not exactly the type of guy to casually drop $50 on a meal, or $3,000 on a Dior sweater for that matter. I'm the type of guy who built an entire YouTube channel around finding good food for cheap. By now, our mission was clear. We needed to look through this food court one more time and find the most expensive thing on the menus. Now technically, the most expensive item in this market was a $155 seafood platter meant for sharing. But because YouTube doesn't actually pay that well, we're going to be looking at the most expensive individual meal instead. And while the foie gras pageant did come really close to being the winner, we actually found something that was just a little bit more expensive.
Anything else for you?
That will be all, thank you. I think I got the nicest looking meal at this entire market because I'm walking by trying to find a seat now and everybody's looking at my meal. I think I made the right choice. I never thought I'd be ordering a $50 meal at a food court, but here we are. We have here the lobster miso. So first impressions, I was a little surprised that I was getting the lobster with the shell on. Especially at a food court where utensils are limited, I was worried that it'd be difficult getting the meat out. So I was a little bit worried that I was going to have to work for the meat, but after flipping the lobster around, I can tell that the meat's actually going to come off pretty easily, so it should be fine. Which meant there was only one thing left to do. And I guess before this gets cold, let's go for a bit of lobster first. Someone just called me Gen Z. Someone thought I was Gen Z for eating lobster at a food court, I guess. That's so funny though. It is really bougie. $50 lobster at a food court. That's crazy. And honestly, they weren't completely wrong. A few hours ago, I was eating the cheapest meal in the market. Now I was sitting here with a $46 lobster dish, wondering if any food court meal could actually be worth this much money. Hey, so actually, the lobster is sweet, and it doesn't taste overcooked. Not bad. For a half lobster, there's a pretty decent amount of lobster meat in here. Credit where credit is due, the lobster itself was good. It was tender, sweet, and cooked perfectly. At the bottom here, we have here glass noodles, so let's go for a bite of that. The glass noodles are actually pretty spicy, and I don't think I'm going to need any of the chili oil that my server provided for me. It's reminding me of pad thai. But actually, apart from the spice, I feel like it's actually a little bit salty, which is not something that I expected for a $50 meal. I would think that for a $50 meal, they would get their seasoning perfect. But I'm feeling like this is just a bit salty. And that was where the meal started to lose me. Because when you're charging almost $50 for a single dish, the expectations become a lot higher. Yeah, I think the lobster is pretty good. It's tender, it's savory, and it doesn't feel overcooked. But the glass noodles aren't exactly what I was expecting at this price point. Yeah, why is it so salty? I was a little disappointed that this ended up being the meal that I enjoyed the least at the entire market. But that brings us to the question that I've been wondering all day. Did I get $50 worth of value from this meal? I would say probably not. I think I'd prefer going to a sit-down restaurant and ordering their lobster. So after spending almost $100 at Vancouver's newest luxury food court, What did we learn? Well, the cheapest meal was $13.99, the most expensive meal was $46, and I think somewhere between those two prices are where people are going to find the best value. Going into this video, I kept asking myself the same question. Who is actually paying restaurant prices to eat at a food court? But after spending almost the entire day here, I think I was actually looking at this the wrong way. Time at Market isn't trying to compete with your typical food court. It's actually trying to offer something completely different. This market brings together the most celebrated chefs, restaurants, and food concepts all together under one roof. And honestly, that's something that we don't have anywhere else in this city. And what surprised me the most is that while you can absolutely spend $46 on a lobster miso or some other premium dish, you don't really need to. As we saw today, there are still options for people who just want a quick meal without emptying out their wallets.
Introducing
Sorry about
Pepsi
this
Cream
ad.
Soda. A little indulgence in every sip. Febreze. When you host, your bathroom can feel like a revolving door. Keep things fresh with Febreze Bathroom. No batteries, no outlets needed. This air freshener fights odors for 45 days. So even after every flush, you know your bathroom smells amazing. Pair with Charmin toilet paper.
That should be it of this video. Guys, like this type of reaction video, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you want me to react to anything else, please comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys like this video. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Jack Daytime out.